I would just say be consistent and be persistent. Like it's never going to be a perfect journey. There's literally always, as an entrepreneur, or there's always going to be things that come up, but if you have a mission and a purpose, um I always think it's good to have the mission in place, but be flexible, like, with how you're getting there, because there's always going to be things coming up. So it doesn't mean you lose your complete vision or mission of where you want to go, but just have it, but be flexible and just know that those things are going to come up, and it's okay. It's okay if you get there in a way that doesn't look like initially you thought it was going to look.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7 and 8 figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. You ever need help with yours? Just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Diana Chaloux, and I am positive I messed up that name, but that's as close as I'm going to get. Um, but with that, Diana started her journey going into the personal training after college, and then gained a bit of weight after college and working on a cruise ship, which would prompted that a bit. And then in 2005, decided to stop making excuses and change the lifestyle and got into the fitness industry. Became a world champion in the fitness industry. Met her husband, moved to Kansas, launched the current business, which is Hitch Fit, with her husband, doing some online training. Also lived I think in an attic for a couple of years with the start of the business to get things started online, and then has been opening up a physical location, been growing over the past several years, and also entered into a new business which is doing fitness retreats and conferences as well. So, with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Diana.
Well, thank you very much for having me. You pretty much summed it all up right there.
Well, I have the innate ability to take everybody's life and condense it into 30 seconds. So, but with that, why don't we rewind and unpack a little bit, and tell us a little bit about how your journey got started, going into college and getting into personal training and also working on a cruise ship.
Yeah, I'd love to. So first, it's Chaloux LaCerte, which is, most people don't get it right. It's very French. It's Chaloux is my maiden name, and then LaCerte is my husband Micah's last name. So it's a lot of French. But yeah, my journey in the fitness world really, it began kind of after college, kind of as you had just mentioned. I was an athlete. I grew up in the state of Vermont. I was into sports and athletics, a lot of, throughout high school and then into college. And then it was really, towards the end of college, and then after I got out of college was when I had gotten the opportunity to go work on the cruise ship, and I really ended up gaining a lot of weight there. And I had a lot of goals and dreams. I loved fitness. I was even a personal trainer. I was working at a gym, but I was making just so many excuses, and my eating was really horrible. That was the issue. It wasn't a problem of not exercising. It was the eating that was really the issue. I was overeating. It was a lot of emotional binge eating at night, and a lot of those behaviors started, like you mentioned. I worked on a cruise ship, and kind of, that behavior started there, and I gained weight really quickly. So when I got off the cruise ship, I weighed as much as I ever had in my entire life. I was very uncomfortable. I knew that it was unhealthy behaviors that I was engaging in.
Mhm.
And I also recognized that if I didn't make changes to those behaviors, all of these dreams and goals that I had within the fitness space, they really were not going to happen. And even as a personal trainer, if I'm not living integrally in what I'm trying to teach people, that's going to limit me on, for me, when I go to somebody for something, I want to make sure that they're actually really good at what they're doing, and are walking the walk and not just talking the talk. So yeah, it was July 5th, 2005. I call it my Independence Day. And it was the night before was the 4th of July. I had, like, drank a bunch of beer, went out with friends, ate McDonald's, and I woke up feeling just really disgusted disgusted with myself and bloated and just not well. And I went to the gym that day to train clients, like after this night of partying and eating all of this crap food. And one of the other trainers was like, "Hey, I saw that you were interested in doing fitness competitions," and he said, "What are you waiting for?" And it really was like a light bulb went off in my head of what am I waiting for? Because like if I keep on the path that I'm on right now, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to, I wanted to compete, I wanted to be in magazines, I wanted to do all of those things, but the path I was on was leading me literally in the opposite direction. So it was such a mindset change for me that, sometimes people are like, oh, it takes a long time to change. It took that one instant and I changed. I literally just started changing things. I didn't wait till Monday. I actually hired a coach for myself that day, someone that could help me and hold me accountable. And I started making changes and trying to figure out this nutrition piece. Um, and I actually hired a coach to help me with that piece too. So I ended up signing up for a show, competition that was like maybe about 5 months away.
Mm.
And because I needed a really big goal to be working towards as well. And over the course of that almost 5 month time frame, I just really got into some consistent new habits. I overcame all of that emotional binge eating that I was doing, and I lost about it was almost 50 pounds in that time frame. But I felt so good. I felt so like, wow, I'm actually doing it. Like all of these things that I want, like I'm doing the things that are going to get me there. And I ended up winning that first show, which for me was just this validation of like, yes, this is a new life for me. So in that world of fitness, oftentimes a lot of people will lose weight and then they regain it. And it really doesn't become a lifestyle. It's something they did. And then they went right back to where they were in the beginning. And for me, it was such a, not just a mindset, but it was like a heart set. It was like such a shift in my identity of, I was like, I am a fit and healthy person. And I claimed that so much that there was just no going back for me.
Mm.
And that was 18 years ago, and I still feel that way. I never want to go back to how I felt, when I was making those unhealthy choices. And I'm so grateful that I did it at that time of my life. I was 27 years old when I made those changes. So we're almost 20 years later because I'll be 47 this year. And it changed my life so completely because it allowed me to step into those big dreams and goals. I was able to compete and do the magazine stuff and when I actually won 2 world champion titles. It's how I met my husband, and then it led to the starting of our business Hitch Fit, which is here in Kansas City. And we started with online personal training that was for which we've progressed now with that to over 82 countries that we have online personal training clients in. We have the brick and mortars, as you
Now, just
mentioned.
before we get too far into that, just as a follow-up question. So you were, or kind of, I don't know, turn things around or adjusted lifestyle to, live a bit more of a healthier lifestyle and to remedy some of the issues that were causing the unhealthy living. And then you sound like you went on to win some great or championships and do great well in the fitness industry. Came along, met your husband. Now, how did you guys transition or go from competing in the fitness industry to starting the current business? Kind of how did you, or what motivated that?
Yeah, so when I met Micah, he had the concept of Hitch Fit and he was thinking of doing that. And I was actually living in Texas when I met him, and I had actually had this concept of working with people through the internet. It was a very new idea. People didn't know what online personal training was at that time. It was like we really had to explain to people, oh yeah, you can do this without being actually in person with someone. So we were kind of like the OGs of online personal training, if you will, because
Mm.
literally just no one was doing it and no one was familiar with it. So we met through the fitness industry. We actually met at a big fitness event that was in Las Vegas, of all places, and kind of knew immediately that I knew we knew that weekend that like we were each other's person. I moved to Kansas City within 2 months after meeting him, and he was just in the beginning phases of trying to figure out what Hitch Fit would be. So I kind of came along to be the female piece of everything he was doing.
Mm.
And it started with the online. We already had a little bit of a platform, social media wasn't huge then except for MySpace. So MySpace was like the thing. And so we started with MySpace, and since we each had an individual following, because he was doing a lot of stuff in the modeling and the magazine world, when we kind of came together and put it out there, we already had a platform of people that were watching what we were doing. So it kind of took off right away. And then as we started getting success stories and sharing them, then we were getting more clients. But it was like Pinterest, when Pinterest came around, I remember we had this one girl who'd had a wonderful transformation, and she was willing to share her story. And all of a sudden we were getting selling all these online plans, and we're like, what is happening? Like, where are people finding us? And we kept seeing it say Pinterest. We were like, I was like, what is Pinterest? Like, have you ever heard of Pinterest? Like, what is this Pinterest thing? Because it was brand new, and her photo had been pinned like 40,000 times. So all of these people were finding Hitch Fit, and it was really cool. It was very fun in those early days, just being able to start something that was, kind of this new idea, this new concept. And we did, like you mentioned earlier too, we lived in an attic. That was where we lived when we launched and founded everything. And we literally just grinded every single day and reaching out to people and sharing and like trying to figure out this social media thing and how to use all these free tools to get the word out about what we were doing. And then just being able to see it spread and grow was really cool.
No,
And
that's awesome. So it sounds like you guys get into it and found a lot of traction and success. You mentioned, I think you guys started in your attic when the business got going, and then you branched out to different or physical locations and grew the business. Is that right?
well, we lived in the attic, and so we started the online personal training, and then we had the opportunity to take over our first physical location gym, which was actually, it was literally, it took me 1 minute to walk from where we lived in the attic. It was like literally around the corner, and there was this little gym that we took over, and it became the first Hitch Fit gym. So it gave us a lot more validity, because sometimes people will see an online business and they're not sure, like, are these people real? So having a physical gym, like, really kind of catapulted us even more, because they actually have a gym. They're actually in there working with clients one on one as well. So there
Mm.
was that those first few years, Micah and I were working an insane amount of hours, as a lot of entrepreneurs do, because we were training clients one on one in the gyms like 50 to 60 hours a week, 7 days a week. We were training clients. And then we would go back to the attic and be working on all of the online stuff. If we weren't in the gym physically, we were in the attic, like trying to build that online piece too. So
Hmm.
it was a lot of work, but it was just really educational, and we get to work with so many people that's how it spread fairly quickly for considering the tools we had at that time.
No, that's awesome. Sounds like you guys found a great niche and were able to build on top of that. So now you got in there, you got the or started working remote or doing it online or expanded to the physical location as well and continued to grow that. Now you guys have been doing it for was it 15 years, or remind me how long that's been going for you.
Yeah, this month actually is 15 years since starting the online, and then our first gym, July, will be 15 years for having the brick and mortar. So yeah, it's kind of nuts to think of that. Like it's one of those things where it feels like just yesterday, but then it also seems like it was so long ago too.
No, makes perfect sense. So you've been doing that for a while, and then you guys, I think more recently, and you can correct me where I'm wrong, also started to expand out and doing a bit more of conferences and events, and kind of what motivated that, and kind of how has that shaped out?
Yeah, it kind of is, with Hitch Fit, what we've done for the past 15 years is really help with the physical transformation and helping people learn how to eat, and how to exercise to take charge of their health, to reduce their risk of disease, all these things. And what we've found over the years is that if you don't get someone's if someone doesn't make the transformation mentally first, then those physical changes don't last. Like, and so that's what I recognize for myself with my own journey. The only reason I'm this far, nearly 20 years later and never went back to those old habits is because of the mindset change and because of the heart set change that I had. So when we entered this space of doing retreats, which it's been a little over a year, well, maybe almost 2 years since we really kind of stepped in to see if this was going to be a good fit for us. It really has been more about, we want to create, well, we love traveling, but we want to create spaces where we can really work on people, like what's going on with them, and help them push through a lot of the things that hold people back from really stepping into successful lives. So it's more just digging deeper than, hey, I want to lose weight. It's okay, what are the things that have held you back, whether it's the pain or the trauma or just challenges and obstacles? Because that's what we've just seen so much, is those things that people haven't dealt with or healed from or worked through, they revert right back if they haven't done the work on those. So with soul fit is the name of the conferences, and we do conferences and then the retreats. That's really the whole thing, is just creating a space where now we get to go even deeper. Where we just hosted our very first conference like 2 weeks ago in Tampa, Florida, and the conference is called Lean and Level Up.
Hmm.
And it was amazing. It was so incredible. And we just had a stage full of incredible speakers just pouring themselves into the people that were there. It was absolutely beautiful. It was incredibly impactful. We pulled together faith, fitness, relationships, business, personal development. We kind of brought all of it in. And it's like, let's lean into the hard stuff so that we can level up in these areas of our lives. It was unbelievable. So that'll be something that we'll do yearly. And then that leads into the retreat. So our first Mexico retreat is coming up in about a little less than 4 months. And so we'll bring a group down there. We're working out together. We do some workshops and stuff together. But really, the retreats is a space for, it's not us talking to them. It's a space where we want to listen, and we give them a voice, and we get to hear their stories so that we can be there to empower and encourage them, and then help them push through that stuff so they walk away changed.
No, that's awesome. So it sounds like a great area. And is that kind of now just kind of a question to follow up? Do you see kind of transitioning the business to that area and more of a focus, or is it a balance between the two? Do they feed between each other? Or kind of how do you balance expanding into that other area, the additional area versus the current business?
Yeah, they really feed well into each other. So like for a lot of people that come on retreats, they also, some people use that as a goal, like to start working on their health goals and stuff, so we can help them for that through Hitch Fit. And then there's other people that will come in and they're looking for that thing that will help them push through so that they start on a health and fitness journey. And so again, we can help them either pre or post when they're ready to take that piece of things. But what we've done actually, is we consolidated down to one gym. We had as many as three gyms in Kansas City at one point, and we just a couple of months ago consolidated. One of them closed right before COVID. Thank goodness. It was just our lease ended and we consolidated down to two. And then we just felt it was time to consolidate down to one, and with an amazing team of trainers, but just so that we have the space in our lives to be able to start building out Soul Fit too. But they really are congruent, and so I see us, we'll figure out how to balance it as we go along. Hitch Fit, it's over 15 years. We really have our systems in place there, so it flows like it. We know that system very well, so it's but they do, like so many Hitch Fit people, then they want to come on the retreats to dig in deeper, and then people that come on the retreats, then they want to be a part of Hitch Fit too. So I see them both kind of growing together as we keep building out the Soul Fit piece of things.
Awesome. No, sounds like a good direction to head in, and plenty of opportunities yet ahead. So, well, now as we've kind of reached the present day of the journey and even looking a little bit as to where things are headed, great time to transition to the two questions I always like to ask at the end of each journey. So the first question I'd like to ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made, and what'd you learn from it?
Well, when you send those questions, it makes me think of, because in 15 years of being a business owner, we've sure made plenty of mistakes. And I would say the one thing that stands out to me is when we know that someone is no longer a good fit or a good part of the team is is letting them go sooner. And I would say one of the biggest mistakes that we've made over the years is, what a lot of times it's been trainers that have come in and been a part of our system, and or people that were causing negativity or spreading negativity that was impacting the culture. And we always like to, keep giving people a shot, but there's definitely times where it's like that Mike and I both look back and we're like, that was the moment we should have said, thank you for your service during this time. We don't want to steal from your life anymore. And it's time for us to
Hmm.
part ways, instead of letting some people stick around. And like when you have someone that's in the culture of your business that is negative or toxic and that is spreading that to others, like it is so much better just to get that toxic out as soon as possible and not let it spread. You're going to have a bigger problem down the line if you let that toxic spread. So it's definitely something we've gotten better at, but like early on there was a lot of situations that we should have just ended sooner and said, it's not a good fit and that's okay. Like it's time for us to part ways. So that would be probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned.
No, and that's always a hard one. I think you learn more as you go along, is to who to hire, who to fire, and when to let go. And it's not that you're trying to be anything aggressive or mean or anything else, but you find out, hey, this may not be a good fit, this may not be the person that there's position, they may not enjoy it, or a number of other things. But it's one where going in, you think everybody's going to work hard, everybody's going to do a perfect job, everybody's going to be the ideal candidate for every position, and then as you go along you learn differently. So I think that's definitely an easy mistake to make, but definitely a great one to learn from.
Yes.
Second question now that I'd like to ask you. So now if you're talking to someone that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I would just say be consistent and be persistent. Like it's never going to be a perfect journey. There's literally always, as an entrepreneur, or there's always going to be things that come up, but if you have a mission and a purpose, um I always think it's good to have the mission in place but be flexible, like with how you're getting there, because there's always going to be things coming up. So it doesn't mean you lose your complete vision or mission of where you want to go, but just have it, but be flexible and just know that those things are going to come up. And it's okay if you get there in a way that doesn't look like initially you thought it was going to look.
No, I think that's definitely a great piece of advice and a great takeaway. So, well, now as we do wrap towards the end of the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Yeah, the best way is through our main website, which is hitchfit.com. And really, all of the resources you need to connect with us are there: our social media, our emails, links to the SoulFit website where you can find out more information about the retreats and stuff too. It's all right there at hitchfit.com.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, make a new connection, support a great business, and if nothing else, make a new best friend. So, with that, thank you again, Diana, for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you, the listeners who are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be guests on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So just go to inventiveguests.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners. Make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review. Helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses along their journey to success. And if on that note, if you ever need help along your journey with patents or trademarks or anything else with your startup, your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Diana, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you.